So when we say school is closing, we're talking about closing to any form of engagement that was happening over the period. So some students were engaged on WhatsApp, some were engaged on Zoom and Google, some were engaged face-to-face, the 4th, 5th, and 6th formers particularly. However you were engaged, we say there's a formal closing on the 18th of December because we have to have formal closings and openings. But, you know, this is a different time. It's a different period. So I'm certain some teachers will teach beyond that because people feel like they need to redeem time that was lost from March to now. And grade 6 teachers, I'm sure, will teach beyond that. And they'll probably start back even before. So we close on the 18th of December. And then we start for the Easter term on the 4th of January. And again, when we say we start, however you were engaged in this term is how you start on the 4th of January. So if there were face-to-face engagements in this term, then the 4th of January is when that starts back. And if it was on Zoom or Google or WhatsApp, that's when it starts back too.
Do you have any idea when the other students will possibly return to face-to-face interaction?
We're talking about it. We're talking about it daily, not because we are indecisive, but we want to make sure we have all the information we need and make the right decisions. In this period, something could be right one day and evolve into wrong the next day. So we are sure too that we won't have a permanently right solution, or we probably won't have that. So we're trying to make decisions as we go along. When we make decisions about when we should go back into school, it's not usually based on the ministry's women fancy of education, or even what we think after much consideration. It's based on what the Ministry of Health says, is based on international best practices across the world, what other countries are doing with schools. It's based on what the WHO says. It's based on how ready we need to be. So what do we know? We know that other countries across the world that are experiencing their second wave, like Canada and the European countries and the US and so on, in March or spring when they closed for schools and businesses and government offices. Now they're closing back again because of the second wave, and they're closing government offices and stores and bars and restaurants, but they're not closing schools. And the reason for that is because the research is in, and it's very clear that the impact of children staying out of school is severe, and it's going to live with us for a really long time if we can't arrest that. Guyana's already been out of school for 8 months now, and so we have to be careful with what decisions we make. We also know that from the World Health Organization and other health authorities around the world, and from our own Ministry of Health, that if we wear our masks correctly, and we wash our hands or sanitize our hands frequently, and we stay appropriately distanced as far as we can, we could reduce spread or stop it altogether. And so if we get to a place where enough of our population is doing that, then we might be able to open all the school doors. But it has to be a large number that's doing that. So that's really what's in our minds about what we do and how we do it. So we have not made, to be clear, we have not made a decision about any other level as yet. Right now, we only know that 4th, 5th, and 6th formers are back in the classrooms and should be back in the classroom. And that was based on wide consultation. As soon as we make a decision about any other level, we'll let you know and let the public know. We opened, I think, on the 14th of September for 4th, 5th, and 6th formers. And what we've seen is about 60% turnout. Now, we don't know as yet if we've lost all those children to the workforce or to being dropouts, because we also offered at the time that we were opening the option of students coming to school in face-to-face engagements or doing homeschooling and learning from home. And so we know quite a number of students have chosen to stay home for different reasons. Parents are worried, which we understand. Some persons have health concerns. We understand all that. We will support the students who chose the option of staying home. We offer that option. For the students who did not turn out and they have gone into the workforce, we have to find a way to make sure they finish some level of education or training in the secondary sector. This afternoon, in fact, as soon as I'm finished here, we'll be meeting with all of as many as we could get interested, churches and masjids and temples and religious persons, to see how they could help us track these students and see where they are. For me, the reason we chose the religious bodies is because they exist in almost every community. So you're likely to know, well, this boy from up the road start working, we could go help him out. Let's you know, see how the ministry could support this. So we thought in every community there is a religious body as well as in the hinterland two shows. So we'll be meeting with the two shows as far as we can shortly. And the effort here, Bibi, is to make sure that we get kids back into the system to finish some level of training. The research says that for every year a student finishes high school, they'll earn 9% more for the rest of their lives. So if you drop out at fourth form and I go on to fifth form, I'm going to earn 9% more than you for the rest of my life. You will earn 9% less for the rest of your life, not only for this year. For every level that you don't complete, you'll earn 9% less. So we really want to give these young people a chance at a higher quality of life. And I don't know that everybody has the appreciation about what dropping out here now will be. I think it's our duty to make sure people understand what that means, not only the students, but their parents and extended family, and then make a choice. Because right now it might be a choice that is being made because of necessity. I'm aware that persons are finding it financially difficult, or because they're unaware of what the impact of dropping out will be. So we really have to get them and let them be fully informed about what this is. And then to offer our different pathways at the Ministry of Education, different ways we can engage these students to make them finish another level of learning.
Okay, and for students who will be returning as well for the other classes, is the ministry planning to give them like a test to see who is ahead and who is behind?
So everybody who is returning to school is going to be engaged in a diagnostic test when we return. So we don't have a date for return as yet, but there's going to be a diagnostic test given, both as far as it relates to academic level as well as wellness. How do you feel about returning? How afraid are you? How do you feel about the months you lost? So wellness aspect of a diagnostic as well as an academic level test to see where, I don't want to call it a test because that sounds so intimidating, but a diagnostic to see what learning loss we've suffered over the time and what do we need to do to make sure this doesn't last and dog us well into the future, that we are able to catch that quickly before we go on to the next level of learning.